Here's Paul. Dallas has fouled the give. Booker on a three. He got it! Devin Booker gives Phoenix a 1-point lead with
5 from long range. Durant's got 11. Craig goes down. Durant has got a highlight.
Remaining. Tatum drives down and throws it down. Wow! Bryant for the win. Bang! Kobe Bryant has hit a shot at the buzzer.
Back to the Pacers. So they want to blow the team up. Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis potentially on the chopping block right now.
Even Karis LeVert was
as well.
rumored on the chopping block as well.
Karis LeVert as
we
well.
don't agree, but we're going to keep that ourselves. But this segment's mainly what we call a 2K MyGM segment. So we all had created trades that we think would be. Of course, we did the salary cap and everything. We worked out the picks and everything, so they all work out so they don't screw up the salary cap and all that stuff. So we have 3 hypothetical trades that will work if they want to do it. And I'm going to start off with mine because mine's first. So mine is with the Hornets, Charlotte Hornets. So the Hornets would receive Miles Turner. The reason why I picked them to get Miles Turner is because they need defense. They're the 30th defense in the league. And it doesn't help that LaMelo's out anyway, but the point being their defense is not that good. So I think Miles Turner would be a great anchor, another example of what they need is like a Clint Capella type for what the Hawks have. So a great defensive center anchor at piece for the Hornets. And then the Pacers would receive Miles Plumlee or Mason Plumlee for salary cap reasons, but then young players like JT Thor and PJ Washington to fill the rest of the salary, and young players to use as part of their rebuild part of it. And again, to fill out the rest of it is mainly picks. So I had a 2022 first-round picks via New Orleans, so that'll be a better pick versus I think their other pick was a Toronto pick. So I think they'll want the Pelicans pick just because it'll have more value than the Toronto pick. And then obviously 2 second-round picks via Washington or via Boston. So it'd be the 2023 second-round pick and the 2024 second-round pick. So I think that's a fair trade. Again, it's mainly salary cap, young players for a good win-now player because Hornets are in a win-now mood. So, what are y'all's thoughts on that? I like the pick because I like the trade because I made it.
You made it, yeah, obviously. I like sending Miles Turner to the Hornets. From a Hornets perspective, they could definitely use the defense, especially with this guy. And then also, he can kind of stretch the floor better than most other bigs in the league right now. So that would definitely be solid for them. And then, the Pacers, yeah, like you said, they're blowing it up. So honestly, the assets that they're receiving in terms of players is kind of not even really what they're thinking about right now. They're thinking about picks, and these are 3 solid picks that they can definitely use because they already have a 2022 first-round pick, I believe, the Pacers. So I like this one, definitely. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, for me, this trade was clearly surrounded by the picks, which is, I think, necessary.
For a rebuild, for sure.
Yeah, and I think that with, like you mentioned, with the Pelicans pick, I think that will help them exponentially for 2022. Like Reed had mentioned as well, they also have another pick for their franchise as well. So having 2 first-round picks is already really good. The only thing that I would probably change is the second-round picks, but obviously that makes more sense based off of salary cap. If there was one more first-round pick, I think it would be more of an incentive for the Pacers to be like, okay, we got a good deal here. Because other than the picks, really, the Hornets kind of won that trade, in my opinion. Miles Turner is a lot better of a player than any of the players that were traded in the trade that you had previously, like what you had mentioned. The picks were kind of the main source of this. So, I would say it's an overall relatively balanced trade, but I would definitely try and change at least one of the first-round picks one of the 2 second-round picks to a first-round pick, in my opinion, but that's just me.
All right. All right, the next one is a Trailblazers trade, which is Reed. Reed actually made it, so if you want to describe your trade.
So this is my trade. So Pacers are receiving Yusuf Nurkic and Larry Nance Jr. And a 2023 and a 2025 first-round pick. And then they're sending over to the Trailblazers Justin Holiday, O'Shea Brissett, who honestly, I'm not going to lie, I don't even know who that is, and Domantas Sabonis. So the trade is focused around Sabonis, obviously, because he's obviously one of the biggest players that's going to be moving for the Pacers. I took a little bit of a different approach with this one than Mokes did for his. I wanted the Pacers to get more first-round picks. I think that they're just more valuable for the rebuild. That's what I wanted them to get. So I got them a 2023 and a 2025 pick. I think that, and they have a 2022 pick, like I just mentioned. So I think that that's going to be really good for a rebuild right there. And they definitely have a few other second-round picks laying around that we probably don't know about. And then the reason why I sent Justin Holiday and O'Shea Brissett over is literally just to fill cap space. That was pretty much the only reason. My only thing that I don't like about this trade is the fact that Yusuf Nurkic and Larry Nance are both pretty much, pure centers, I guess you would say. And then they already have Miles Turner because Miles Turner would not be moving in this trade. So that could cause some issues. But in terms of a rebuild, I like this solely based on the picks.
Yeah. I mean, I liked it, again, overall. And the only thing is that the Blazers, I think, are also rebuilding, so I don't know how many picks they're willing to give up. That's also why I was thinking about the Hornets. This could, I mean,
You think the Blazers are rebuilding right now? I mean,
I guess
it depends on what happens because I know that them and Damian Lillard currently
are complete opposites mindsets when it comes to this
and they're currently in talks about where the organization is going. So that's a whole conversation in and of itself. But if they are rebuilding, then that could be a different.
That could be a different issue. But I do like the Pacers. I don't know how fit's going to work, but I think they're just trying to move Sabonis and trying to get some first round pick assets.
I did this one.
And Larry Nance is
I wanted to get
player.
No, they're definitely good players. Yusuf Nurkic and Larry Nance are good. Don't get me wrong. But they're basically pure centers. But I wanted to get Dame a little bit more help. In Portland, so that's kind of where I decided to do the Trailblazers with this one.
Yeah, and Justin Holiday is a great backup point guard, so that's all I wanted to say.
I'm a fan of this trade. I think that it's pretty good. The only thing that I probably would do is actually switch out Sabonis with Miles Turner.
You think?
That's just based off of my preference, just because I think personally the Pacers should get out of there.
Yeah, with Miles Turner.
Yeah, he just sucks, dude.
I don't think he sucks.
Well, he's not sucks, but he's not built for that franchise.
Yeah, no, he's definitely. I think he would fit. That's more of he would fit better in
a winning type
different
franchise,
situation in a different system.
Now that I'm thinking about it more often, I actually think that a good place for Miles Turner might be like the Mavs.
Mavericks?
Yeah, you think? Well, actually, we were talking about a Mavs trade when we were discussing the hypothetical trades. We were talking about it, and I feel like it definitely would work for them because the Mavs need defense desperately. They need defense desperately.
My only I'm gonna go quickly on.
I think one of the main things was I don't know if the Mavs really have too many assets that they're willing to. Well, definitely Porzingis. But the problem is Porzingis is going to want a bigger contract. So I feel like
he already has a bigger contract.
But with the Pacers trying to rebuild, I feel like taking on Porzingis is not really in a rebuild kind of mindset.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my only thing that I've read about when it comes to the Magic or the Mavs is because the reason why they keep Porzingis is because he's a stretch five, and that you don't want to clog the paint when Luka Doncic is on your team because he's mainly a drive type of guy, like a power player when it comes to driving into the paint, keeping the paint clear for him because he can just do all his magic inside of there. And if you have another player like that he's learned with when they put on, I think, who was it, Maxi Kleber or whatever, it clogs the paint and then you eventually have a double team on Luka and it makes it harder for him to do his work in the paint. So that's why they keep Porzingis for how much Tingus Pingus is. Yeah. He can shoot threes. That's the only positive that keeps him out of the paint. So that's my reasoning. And then some people's reasoning of why they don't want to have a traditional big. Yeah. Even though it would help on their defense immensely, help their defense.
Yeah, no, because
it would degrade Luka's offense.
What they need. That's what they need right now for sure. Yeah. But I think you make a good point about clogging the paint.
Yeah, that's the one thing. And one negative when you have Luka is that you need the paint open. So here's your trade.
So now we're getting on to my trade. Which
welcome back, by the way, to the Ben Simmons podcast. Yeah, we're bringing it back.
We're bringing Ben Simmons back. So this one was actually probably the biggest trade out of all of them.
The most power players.
So I have a trade with the 76ers.
Wait, I didn't even look at this. This is wait, this is actually huge. Oh my God.
This is a blockbuster trade.
This is kind of a blockbuster trade. But so I have the Pacers receiving Seth Curry, Ben Simmons, Tyrese Maxey, and a 2026 first round pick as well as a 2028 first round pick. And I have the Sixers receiving T.J. Warren, Miles Turner, Domantas Sabonis, and a 2025 second-round pick via Miami. Now, I think that this trade works well only because of Ben Simmons. Here's why.
Seriously.
Look, I understand that the Pacers are trying to blow up their team, and I think that that's valid. And I think that if you put Ben Simmons on there, that is the ultimate tanker. I'm joking. But like, realistically,
Are you though?
Kind of. I am kind of joking because like I do think that they wouldn't be a bad team, but like that is, I honestly do think that if you want somebody who can be a possible leader on the Pacers, Ben Simmons would be a good fit.
Yeah.
On top of that, you're rebuilding your team, but you still have the star impact to not play like crap the entire regular season.
And then I guess something that just pops into my head for this is we know that Ben Simmons has kind of had issues with like trying to build a team around him.
Right.
You know, but I think if you move him to Pacers in a rebuild and you're able to build around him from a rebuild, that could work out in your favor.
Also,
that is not a bad idea at all.
Also, I don't see why the Sixers wouldn't jump on this. Obviously, they have Joel Embiid.
They're trying to get
Joel
rid
Embiid
of
is a fantastic.
And obviously,
fantastic
Daryl Morey
player.
is a little cuck when it comes to trades. So
Sure.
let's be honest here.
But-
Daryl Morey's not the best sound of mind when it comes to trades.
True, but
So.
you have another very good ball handler and shooter in T.J. Warren that would complement Tobias Harris really well, or be a really good backup for him. And then you have Miles Turner and Sabonis, who both are very good players. Turner, in my opinion, would ride the bench behind Embiid, and you would play Sabonis next to Embiid. I don't see how that wouldn't be a dominant front court to have for the Sixers. So personally, I see both teams here having great benefits off of this, as well as having the Pacers getting 2 large first-round picks from this trade. So, I mean, for me, I'm biased because I made this trade, but I think that's a good trade.
It.
You know?
I like it.
I have a critique, really big.
I got one thing to say.
Where does Tobias Harris go? Because he's a better power forward than he is small forward, and we learned that like when they try to crowd it with Al Horford.
They don't have Seth anymore. They don't have a starting point.
They don't have Seth. Yeah. So what I was thinking is that to modify this trade, because I like this concept. Trade out Miles Turner for Brogdon when it comes to the time that his signed contract no player thing ends. I think Brogdon's a better fit for the Pacers for the Sixers over. Then imagine if they kept Seth Curry because they lose value from keeping Miles Turner. Imagine Seth Curry, Malcolm Brogdon, and who the hell? T.J. Warren, Tobias Harris, Joel Embiid. That's an insane lineup.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
That's an insane
teams
lineup.
are having great benefits.
Yeah, there's assets you can flip around, but basically these two teams should be in talking right now with like how I'm seeing right now.
Absolutely. We should send this to them.
We should send it to Daryl Morey and tell him to stop being a cuck and make this trade because he tried to get Jaylen Brown from us. I'm like, you're goofy. Let's move on to the next crap because I hate talking about Daryl Morey.
The only thing I was gonna say about this trade is I didn't like the idea of Miles Turner going to the Sixers, but I mean the fact that I didn't even think about this for whatever reason, but the fact that you brought up Malcolm Brogdon I think would make this trade pretty much perfect. In my opinion.
Considering he's on the trade block, so you have an option there for a point guard who can facilitate.
I might need to throw in like one more pick because I think Miles Turner gets paid a lot more than Brogdon.
No, Brogdon gets paid 21, I think.
20 to 21.
It would work out ish. I think maybe you have to throw.
Okay, then I would just basically have to throw the Pacers cash. That's it.
Yeah, pretty much. Which really
cash or trade exception or whatever.
Wouldn't be a big deal at all. So something that I found interesting about all 3 of our trades, and that you mentioned before we started this, is none of them contain Karis LeVert. Because I do not think any of us are on the
as a Pacers
moving
no
Karis LeVert. I don't really see why you would want to move Karis LeVert. I mean he's a young guy. He's great scorer, 3-level scorer. He's a pretty good playmaker from what I've seen as well. And I mean, what is he's like shooting guard, point guard as well?
Shooting guard.
Yeah, it's like an Allen Iverson, where obviously not to the extent of his skill, but
like pure scorer almost.
But basically like pure scorer, like can move the ball around and like.
Not a liability.
Yeah, and is big enough to be a shooting guard.
Yeah, so I see no reason why they would want to get rid of him. You know.
Agreed.
Yeah, so we are in the role as a Pacers GM, and I think that all Pacers GMs agree we don't want to get rid of
I would want to keep Karis LeVert.
Especially
Especially if you bring in like, I mean, any of these trades that we just brought up, like if you bring in Ben Simmons to the Pacers, I think him, Karis LeVert, Malcolm Brogdon would. I
Could do
guess
something.
Malcolm Brogdon was.
We'll
hypothetical also,
say for sake of
but-
argument that Turner stays on the team. Brogdon's in that trade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for the Sixers trade. All right, so yeah, we'll go off the Sixers trade because honestly, I think that this one is the most airtight out of the three that we've made.
Most blockbuster one, of
personally.
course.
Yeah, definitely.
I
but
don't know if
think-
it's realistic, but I think it's the most.
I don't know. I think
blockbuster
this
trade
one's.
that could
I
be-
think this one,
could turn
at
up the
least
league.
in my head, is pretty airtight.
Fred
On
saying
both
that.
teams,
Yeah.
if everyone's
He's not
straight.
voted in yet, but he hasn't gotten any triggered by any of our takes yet. So
That's because we haven't talked about the Wizards.
you got Wizards fan.
Yeah.